everybody. Welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips, the Thursday edition with Kiki. Ah! And yeah, we all know she's the star of the show. Palm me in the face, Kiki, again. With me, your host, and disembodied hands, Quindy, Justin, and John, and a very, very dingo Kiki this morning. No, dingo Kiki. Oh, dingo Kiki. So dingo. Oh no, the teeth. This is what I deal with. Okay? This is 5.5-month-old dingo puppy. She gets so excited. She's adorable and bitey. Come on, mama. Oh, why are you biting your own paw? Why are you the funniest thing is to stick her own paw in her mouth when she tries to bite you. Hey, no. Now she's just way too excited. The flailing paws. Now you can all see what I deal with. Kiki, are you going to come up and be good? No. Come on. Nope. Oh, hi. Enough. Okay, now this is enough. I'm being eaten by a puppy. Up. No. Off. Nope. Okay, now it's time to calm down. Is it time to calm down, good girl? Nope. And you cannot eat my Chimera colors either. They're not very good for you. Even if they say non-toxic, they're not food grade, Kiki. Remember. Yeah. Settle down, baby girl. Sorry, that was very exciting. Also, I'm down lower because I am... Quindy, I've got kind of my hips acting up, so... I don't know how long. I'm doing a different chair, and hopefully this chair will help. And then if I have to, I'll switch back to the other chair, and then we'll just see how we go. But oh yeah, my lower back and my hip issues are kind of like one and the same. And I've just been sitting a lot in the same chair, and I think that's just like made it kind of annoying. Yeah, you gonna settle down, little dog? But we will endeavor to go forward. Good girl. Now she's nice and calm. She was just putting on the dingo act for you guys. Yeah. Oh yeah, man or woman handle, right? Yes. And this one is, she's over 50 pounds now, so. She is quite the handful, is the Keekster. Hi. Oh, did you bring me your toy? Somebody brought me her toy. Aw, thank you. Oh, no, you don't want me to actually have it. You want me to play with you. But Kiki, it's work time. Such a dingo. Oh my God, guys. It's the dingo outcross, I swear. It wasn't poodle wetterhound after all. It's dingo blood. Totally dingo blood. Let me see if I can move this down just a little bit. Ironically, you probably will be able to see Kiki a little bit. Because that'll be pointed toward the floor more. There we go. Much better. All right. Yay. Now I'm up close and personal. Hi, Keekster. Hi. You get little glimpses. Little fuzzy glimpses. Yeah. Yeah, my hip tends to lock up, so that's what I'm trying to avoid. I've got my kneeling chair today, which usually I don't use on the show, but I'm going to switch it up and see if that helps everybody. Let's go down to, boop, the Kiki has settled, so I say, and then she gets up. Alrighty, well, let's get on with our copper and decide how we're going to handle it here. Now, the little squiggles that we painted in, let me get in focus here. Well, first, let's get closer, and then let's get in focus. So the little squiggles, I'm probably going to make a slightly brighter copper because I want them to stand out, right? And I remember we also started freehanding. Ooh, remember that freehand? Yeah, we did fishy scale freehand. Chaos, okay, well, it's kind of weird. And now, unfortunately, since Ed has passed, I don't know who you would approach, Chaos. That's a problem. So Reaper doesn't officially sponsor painters. I was their staff painter for a very long time. We have a studio of painters who are freelancers who do work for us, like Rhonda Bender, Bird with a Brush. She streams on here. Michael Proctor, that's at Crow's Nest, and he streams on here. Clever Crow. And these people have just worked with Reaper for a while. You know, they came to ReaperCon and they just started talking to people, and everybody, Reaper and them, really, you know, hit it off. And so they started, you know, and they started working for us. It's a kind of an organic process with Reaper. It's not like a painter contacts Reaper and Reaper's like, here, we will just give you this package of stuff and you will paint X things for us, or you will do whatever. It's more like for the people that we just have kind of grown up with. Who have grown up with us. So it's a very organic process. And it's not like you had to be here from the beginning, but you are a lot more likely to become somebody who gets to be a Reaper staff painter if you come to ReaperCon, talk to Ron, show him your work. And Ron is our art director currently, and do that. Before, it was also possible to contact Ed, our CEO. Unfortunately, Ed passed away very young, relatively speaking, unfortunately, this Thanksgiving. So Ed is no longer a possible source. And Ron is so busy, especially now since he's probably handling a large part of Ed's duties as well. It's really hard to get him over email. ReaperCon is your best chance because that's when they're focused on the art side. They're focused on, you know, on talent. And that way he can kind of get to know you, meet you, etc. ReaperCon is in Denton, Texas. It's always over the Labor Day weekend. Denton, Texas is about half hour north of Dallas-Fort Worth. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Ron's been made COO for a while. You're right, Zachariah. Thanks for the reminder. But yeah. So Reaper is just, because it's like just such a family, like we are corporate-er now, but we're still like the heart of Reaper is still like being in one big hobby family. And so that like our talent acquisition like tends to be that way as well. If you're a sculptor, then Ron, again, then it's more maybe formalized and that you contact Ron. But even then, like it's more likely if you come and show him some of your work at ReaperCon that he's going to be interested, and, you know, he can, you know, make arrangements then to either give you some models to paint or blah, 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 you know, that kind of thing. So that's kind of the organic way, because we have a fair number of people who do paint for us, on and off. We don't have like an official workload though. Like Ron just gets things painted as he gets things painted. Unlike other companies where everything gets painted, Reaper puts out so many figures that you would need a whole stable of painters like working. I know, I was there. I was one of them. Yeah, we didn't really see, like we get more mileage almost from people just painting the models on their own and posting them up on our social media than we do having a bunch of pros like paint every model we put out. So it is what it is. It is the way that Reaper has become a Reaper. Moonglooms, I was an on-staff painter, so I worked at Reaper headquarters and I was paid full-time. Then I lateraled over. Obviously, when the paint line launched, I began to be more and more a paint producer, and less a staff painter. They did add on another staff painter after I transitioned, but then that didn't work out. So then they kind of faded away from having a staff painter at all. Dave has always been of the mind that he would much rather be producing physical things than producing like graphics or advertising. So now, if you are a staff painter, I don't know if there is a cash stipend or not for it. Ron sometimes would do like 50-50 cash and product. Sometimes he does all product. Sometimes he does product and publicity. Like, you know, it's that. So, and that is something, I'll tell you this, that is something you're going to run into in this industry. Yes, you can make a living with miniature painting easier than you can in the traditional 2D arts. However, you don't do that by working for companies. You do that by doing commissions, doing Patreon, doing Twitch, you know, doing that sort of thing. It's that sort of thing if you want to make a living at this. It makes a very good hobby. It makes a very good like side gig. It's very hard to do this as a full-timer like I do. And right now I get paid partially from Reaper for doing the streams, and I also have my Patreon. I also do a bit of Twitch. I also do a bit of coaching. You know, it's a little bit of everything. So that is, and many companies in the industry, especially smaller ones, won't have any money for paying for painted pieces. Some of them do, but the ones that do, I did that. Or actually, I had a friend who did that. Moved to Texas and hang around Reaper all the time. That's how you get hired. No, that's true. That's absolutely the way it tends to work. Turgeon. You may laugh, but it is true. But yeah, one of the companies that does pay money for paint jobs is Dark Sword Miniatures, but you must be very, very good. Jim has Jim started out with me and Jennifer Haley and Marika Reimer, and he's got like Kat Martin working for him. You know, he's got high-end, top-level miniature painters working for him. So if you can walk in to ReaperCon and score gold consistently, or you can, you know, make a splash at another competition, you're probably at the level that you could apply to Jim and see. Yeah, see, that's the thing. So yeah, so if you're looking to make a living in this hobby, folks, yeah, you can sell painted models as well if you are fast. I actually did that for a while because I far prefer. I'm a lot better at getting things just painted for sale than I am doing commissions in general. Because then at least paints for sale, I get to paint what I want. So you can make a bit of money, a side gig, doing that as well. If you're fast and clean, you can make quite a bit of money at it. But again, whether it's full-time or not, that depends on your lifestyle and how much money you need to live on. And your situation, right? If you retire, painting minis for sale and doing commission work could be actually quite a nice lucrative little like income for you aside from like retirement income, right? So it really depends. Or if you're in college and you've, you know, got your dorm already paid for and stuff, you could make some nice side gig money doing miniature painting. But yeah. And it depends also on where you live in the country. If you live in an area that's a lot lower cost of living, you could absolutely do miniature painting for a living. Absolutely you could. Yeah, Curtico. But yeah, so it's the reason that people typically go to companies and try to paint for them in this industry, in my experience, is that it gets you visible, right? You get introduced kind of to that. If the company is good, your work gets introduced to that company's community, at which point you get some visibility, right? And then if you also have a Twitch or a YouTube or a Patreon, you can kind of leverage that visibility a little bit, maybe, depending. I find people for my Twitch and Patreon and YouTube, you know, from the stream. So it's like that. So the reason to paint for a company isn't money, it's visibility in the community and getting kind of other people familiar with you as a personality, especially if they'll let you do something like stream for them. With Reaper, you probably need to be pretty established to do a stream for us. But with other companies, especially smaller miniatures companies, if you said, hey, do you guys want to do a Twitch stream? Like, do you want to sponsor my Twitch stream? And I'll just use your product, yada, yada. You could work out something like that. And then they promote you on their social media and you get more viewers for your stuff. And, you know, but it's work and it's organic, right? It's very much organic and building a following. Yeah. Right, you paint stuff for Ireland. Okay. Well, Papa, what's up? Okay. You being good? Yeah. Oh, I forgot to close the other door of the other room. For fun and product. Right. Yeah. Hold on. Let me close the door so my dog can't get into the complicated room. Hi, complicated dog. Hi. Can I close this door? Oh, thank you. Yeah. Oh, I'm shutting off your source of fun. I am. Oh, yes, I am. You do have toys though, and now you've got attention. Good girl. All right, I gotta go back to work. I can go back to work, Kiki. Back to work. Sorry about that. But yeah, so that is the sad truth of the miniatures industry. The same goes for writing for the miniatures industry. Don't expect to ever get paid for it. There's a saying in like novelists and quote, you know, like novel writers and in the greater publishing market, there's a saying that the game industry is where morals go to die. Meaning you never get fair treatment, you never get fair paid, you never get fair representation or promotion. It's just the way it is. Like a lot of miniatures companies that do a game need writers, but they don't want to have to pay for them. So it's like, yeah. Yeah, Kiki was a real dingo this morning, Miss Imp. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you'll have to go back and watch. She jumped up before I even introduced her and started nomming on me. And I got a paw to the face, too. Something that's very hard for a corgi to do to you, Miss Imp. But yeah, so yes, Yes, YouTubers do have a harder time getting subs if they don't have I worked for X company or I won Y award in their names. That's exactly it. That's why people work for companies. You've just illustrated the point that I mentioned earlier, which is that visibility. So I did that when I was a freelancer. I did some work for Crocodile Games and I did some work for, Dark Sword, and by doing that, I got more visibility and I got to essentially say, hey, I work for companies. It gives you legitimacy, right? It means that somebody in the industry has recognized that your work is worthwhile or cool, right? Yes, when you sit on the floor, then you get pawed in the face, right? But yeah, so that's why people. It's a lot of the time. It's why people enter competitions as well. Um, I feel like there's lots of reasons, different reasons why people enter competitions, but one of them is to essentially be able to say, hey, I scored gold at Nova Open, right? And again, that's just you saying, hey, other people have recognized that my work is cool, and that's why you guys should watch me. Um, but yeah, and YouTubers, it also depends on the personality, right? Like personality is definitely a big thing on YouTube as far as like whether you have that personality that people will watch, or you have a teaching personality like I do, where I'll explain a lot, which some people appeals to some people, does not appeal to others. I mean, it's just like any artistic thing, is you find your people, you find your niche, right? And it's better if you can figure out, if you spend some time not just working, or while you're painting, if you think about what are your strengths as a painter, as an entrepreneur, as a what do you do really well, and not something like I layer really well, but like the greater parts of your personality. What can you leverage, right? I was just bringing this up to somebody the other day. I think I was writing it. I don't even remember, but like some of you are really good with like social media. You're on it all the time. You know the best people to follow, right? You know the awesome people to follow for mini painting. If you yourself start doing social media, you can leverage that because people like curated content. There's so much out there. Everybody would love a short list of great people to follow in case they haven't discovered them yet, right? Stuff like that. So it's not always concrete as far as like, oh, my wet blending is amazing, or I am the best 2-brush blender on the planet. Sometimes it's as simple as I'm really plugged into this community and I can tell you who's cool, right? Or I can tell you about this great new video I just saw, right? And that has value. And then there's the people like me who like to communicate and teach, and we're good at that, and that's my strength, so I play to it. I don't try to be the crazy personality person on YouTube or Twitch. I try to be the person who will tell you why things work. And that, again, that appeals to a certain market. So figure out like what makes you tick. What are you good at? What do you enjoy, right? What aspects of this great thing do you enjoy? Are you a really focused person where really you're happiest when you just put your head down and plow through and paint a beautiful miniature, or 10 of them? Like, that's entirely different. Then probably you shouldn't be doing social media unless it's just short focused videos on your technique. Things like that. So yeah, sorry, it's always a back check over my shoulder to see what the puppy's gotten into. But so yeah, so think about it like when you're designing your approach to miniature painting, if you want to get repped by a company, if you want to enter competitions, if you want to make a little side income from it, kind of look at how you can best approach it, because that's what makes you special. That's what makes you unique. It'll make you stand out if you double down on those things. So that's my 2 cents. And for me, because I have communication, I'm a writer, and I also have really good focus. I can really go in depth on topics, and I enjoy thinking about topics and figuring out how to explain them. So for me, the Patreon is perfect, because then I can really, on those PDFs and on the videos when I'm outlining, I can really go deep into the subject, and I can try to remember all the things I wish I knew when I started, about that subject, and try to put it in a really concise and clear manner. So that kind of thing. Yes, thank you. There's Quindy with the social media plug. Boom, there I am. And yeah, if you can do stuff for a company, sometimes they'll be nice and they'll push all your social media. So yes, there I am. I do not do a lot on Instagram these days. I'm actually, I'm learning, I I'm a very strategic thinker, and so for my career, I was really paying attention when I launched the Patreon. I really did some experiments, and I paid some attention to what was working as far as my point in Instagram really is will people discover me, and will they become my patrons? What I discovered is that Instagram is like not good for that. Instagram is good for getting your name out there, and Instagram is the best at communicating with your existing folks. So keeping your current audience engaged is what Instagram is good at, but it won't necessarily get you followers, patrons, or likes. So yeah, so we're talking about career. I love talking about this. I'll stop and start painting, I swear. I should start mixing up colors. But it's interesting stuff, right? It's very interesting stuff. So yeah, so for me, I do kind of a strategic analysis, and I'll be doing the same thing when I release my books. I'll be doing a lot of analysis over what works and what doesn't. And that's something that's my strength. Not everybody has that strength. So that's me kind of leveraging in. So my point in all that is my Instagram has stuff on it. It has some nice stuff on it. It is a decent gallery of some of my work over the last, 4 years or so. But in my website, likewise, I try to update it every once in a while. But mostly what you'll find me on is as far as current stuff is going to be Twitch and YouTube, because I enjoy both of those a lot, and Patreon, which I love. Patreon is my groove. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so that's true. And then Agent Marvel, like, ask yourself if you're like, am I a communicator, or am I a doer, or am I a thinker? Like, I'm a little, chances are you're a little bit of all of those, but if you can figure out like exactly, if you can really nail down your talents, like what you're really good at, even with that media, within that media, right? And maybe, because there's also, everybody has a different like social vibe too. So maybe it is your vibe that you just want everybody to come out and chill and relax while you paint. And, so maybe that works, maybe there's probably people out there that would like that, especially if you got some chill tunes on. So it's like, hey, sit and paint with me, and we'll listen to some chill tunes and chat a little bit, right? So there's definitely an audience for that. Yeah, that can work. It can work, Miss Tim. And yeah, commissions, I would believe it. Like, I would believe that Instagram and some social media could get you commission offers. Almost anything can get you commission offers, because there's always more people who want painted miniatures than are willing to paint them, or are willing to paint them to the level that they need them painted. So that works. I'm not interested in doing commissions. Like, I've decided that it's not me. And it just gives stress to my life. So that's why, for me, social media is less of a value. But if you want to do commissions, which definitely is where some of the money is, if you're looking to get, make this into a side gig, then yeah, definitely social media can help you there. So it's all in your goals, right? It all comes down to what are your personal goals. If you're like, I'd really like to make a little money to offset the cost of all the miniatures and paints I buy, right? Then that's when it's time to kind of look at your own personality and like what you can leverage and what your goals are, and kind of start trying some stuff, right? Like, I knew early on that I always liked to make a little extra cash from my miniatures, because that it offset the cost of buying more. So I started out doing a lot of commission work, and that's pretty much how I found that I don't really like it. So it's not my groove. Hey there, Kiki. And also, evaluate how much time you have, right? Because that's another thing that will impact. Oh, hey, that's right. We were using a Series 7 yesterday for a change, right? So let's use our Series 7 size 1 today instead of my Da Vinci Maestro, and see how we do. Oh, there are people who are clickbaiting that. I mean, it depends on who you get, right? Does that person have any experience painting miniatures? Sometimes they do. Like, sometimes there are miniature painters who advertise on Fiverr. But remember, always remember, what is the goal of the platform? For instance, Patreon's goal is that it was started by artists to give artists an option that would give them a consistent monthly income and stabilize what otherwise can be a very up and down income stream, creative work in general. Fiverr was started to hook up clients with artists and other creatives who are willing to work for cheap. It's in the name. Yes. It's good to know that Fiverr is a resource for sculptors. I can believe it because there's so many people starting 3D work, right? 3D sculpting. But remember, Fiverr's goal is to give it to you for cheap. So you're going to get it for cheap. And that alone gives you an idea what you're dealing with. Now, given many of the sculptors, especially, I suspect, and probably a lot of the painters, are living in countries where the cost of living is a lot lower than ours. And so we consider cheap, they consider a good living. When I was way back, when I was first starting my own journey in freelance painting, I chatted with a guy who essentially was a painter from the Czech Republic. And he, even though, it's not like you were making a crap ton of money from commission work back in those days, but he was making so little relatively, and as far as the exchange rate, he was making so little that he quit his IT job and lived off of his miniature painting income. So that's a lot. Like, I suspect you see that also in like Thailand, probably still in the Czech Republic and Poland, So you may get some talented people on Fiverr who are just living in countries where they, even what we consider cheap is like awesome to them. So that's another thing that, always bring in. But if I were an artist, I don't think I would do Fiverr, right, as an artist. Right, yeah. People have this weird thing that you shouldn't enjoy your jobs and, shouldn't enjoy your job, and I think that is just pretty much like crap. I disagree with it heartily, obviously, as I have a job I enjoy, and I'm looking to add a second job I enjoy. But then I've always been kind of, not afraid to buck the trends that way. Dogfather, there's, it's a personality type too. I do not enjoy most social media. I do it because it's my job right now. Oof, there's got to be stuff in the air. My eyes are just like watering like crazy today. Not a good day to do freehand. Maybe I should do shoulder pads instead. And I may need to darken this color a little bit. I think it's a little bit light. Yeah, probably. I'm close, but I think I need to darken. I'm going to add another drop of copper to my next. I'm mixing my new copper and tarnished copper together to create this. Hello, good afternoon, or morning in my case. Yeah, that's true. Smaller companies and people running small lines. That's true, Vandalar. Yeah, if you want a sense of accomplishment, then you have to ask yourself, what does that mean, right? Yes. Oh no, I'm in California. I'm out on the West Coast. There are Mistim is in Florida, I think. We have other Floridians in the chat, but not me. I have friends who are in Florida. And a relative in Florida. Oh, come on, teary eyes, stop. But yeah, and there's some good books about this, about that whole, when you mention a sense of accomplishment. That's one of the things that this hobby is really, really good for. And especially in a digital world where, a lot of times our careers are not giving us a real sense of accomplishment because the age of the craftsman is over. But if you think about it, the age of the craftsman is alive and well in many of the hobbies we do, especially miniature painting. And that's where it's like, you don't have to be good. You just have to be satisfied with your work. Take pride in your work. Really sink yourself into your work. Try not to just if you really get into your work and you let yourself relax into it and just enjoy it, That's one of the best things you can do for your happiness level. I'm reading a book about this right now. Actually, there are studies behind this. They usually talk about craftsmen in the general sense, but miniature painters definitely count for this. I'm losing some of my scales there as I come over them, so I'm going to actually mix up some of my... I'm just going to grab some black indigo real quick. Oh, if I could find where I put my black indigo. I always forget which corner it's in. There it is. But yeah, that's a good point that Valinor makes about fiber too, is that there are lots of small companies that utilize fiber for business, right? But yeah, so, and we talked a little bit about this also, why people miniature paint, you know, why people do our hobby, why people do any hobby. So the accomplishment thing is interesting because it's really varies across individuals, right? I mean, some people feel accomplishment like they do the Reaper Challenge League, you know, which motivates you to paint. Like if you otherwise have a hard time. What are you doing, Paw? I think I'm going to close the puppy into back here so she's not wandering around the house, guys. 1 second. I want her to settle down. What are you doing? Hi. I'm going to close your gate. Yeah, you're going to be back here. Yeah, you've got a toy and you've got a whole bunch of cardboard that you ripped up. So settle down, little paw. Little paw. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's in the 30s. Yeah, it's cold out here too. Right. But people get joy from different things too. So it's like, it's really cool if you can figure out, you know what, this Reaper series, this Series 7 miniature is annoying me. Go away, Series 7. Well, let's go with the Series 7 0 and the regular 0. The miniature one is annoying me. All right, this is a little better, a little longer. Oh, Lisana, yeah, that was a while ago. I've transitioned away from a lot of in-person teaching. Though again, that is, if you are looking to make this a side gig, in-person teaching can be a lucrative way to do it. I did a 2-day seminar back it was a while ago now, 2019, I think. And I did that out here in California before I moved here. Yeah, I'm just feeling like I'm not getting enough depth to this color. So yeah, Lisana, that was a long time ago. I'm transitioning away from in-person teaching. I'm realizing that I find it a little stressful, and I also feel like for me, I would rather reach like a lot of people at once than just a few people at once. So I had to, again, looking at what is rewarding for you, right? For me, I really like these visual, like Twitch and YouTube, social media, and my Patreon. Because every time I put up a Patreon thing, I'm helping, over 100 people. I'm helping a lot. Anybody who needs that advice is going to open that thing. And I have almost a couple hundred people on a Patreon. But so that appeals more to me than teaching in person, especially given the stress levels I get to when teaching in person. So I'm not sure how my teaching is going to go in the future. I was teaching at, I've always taught at ReaperCon. And I teach out here at KublaCon in the Bay Area. I don't know if you're out here. And of course, ReaperCon's in Texas. But that is kind of where I'm at right now. I know I'm a good teacher in classes. I get very good reviews when I do in-person classes. It's just stressful. I'm really at a point in my life, y'all, where, and one of my best friends, Bridget, who created Kiki, Bridget's we were talking the other day, and she's like this too. She's like, we're beyond doing things for other people. We are much more focused now on figuring out how to live our best lives and to get rid of stress and to move toward things that make us happy and that are rewarding for us. And so I'm moving away from in-person. I realized during KublaCon that the stress of the upcoming classes was really making me unhappy. And part of it is that everybody expects a handout these days, and I'm not. Like, I just never seem to have time for them. And when I do them, it's like all this work just to do it for a class. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons. There's many reasons for me that my in-person teaching career may be over soon. It's a funny. It's just a pun. Pendrake. There's also a Genghis Khan, or a Genghis Khan, I believe is how you really pronounce. So there's a Kublai Khan and a Genghis Khan, and it's just a pun on Khan because gamers love puns. Yeah, exactly, right? Like, and that's everything. Like, everybody's got an opinion about how you could make their lives easier or better or more happy. I spent a lot of my life doing that because I very much am a people pleaser, and I like to be needed, and I enjoy doing a good job. And you know, it's the outcome of the class is rewarding to me, but the lead up to the class and the actual teaching is not. So I'm just trying to, like, now especially that I'm freelancing, I'm making a success of it. You know, I'm getting some other things, getting to some other life goals that I had put on the back burner for a long time. So I'm much more interested in what kind of life, if I could have my best life, like my happiest life, like what would that look like, right? Like, I turned 50 this year, and for me, birthdays are always time to go back over my goals in my year and see where I am. Like, the one thing I always was terrified of, even as a younger person, was making it to, like, you know, age 60 or 65 and, like, looking back at my life and going, what the heck did I do with that? Because I'm somebody who, you know, is, like, wants to... I want to be able to try to do all the things that I could do because of who I am. So, thanks, lady. Yeah, I'm just doing a lot of fish scales right now. And thank you for the Prime sub. Sorry, and I missed some Prime. Sorry, I've been meandering and not... 1 second. Must thank people subscribing. 1 second. Carrie Michael. Hey, long time no see. 29 months on the Prime. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, Caliblum, I'm with you on that too. Huracan. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they like pun names. Pun names. Lady hangs out over here on occasion. Here's his front lady. We're just slowly working our way through the copper. And I decided I wanted to do some freehand, so. Otherwise, we're talking about a lot of cool stuff today. We're talking about this hobby as a career and other stuff. A lot of topics that I really enjoy. Ugh, yeah, still eyes tearing. Seriously. Serious stuff in the air. So mostly, yeah, I'm just going to keep going over these little fish scales, and then I'm going to take a glaze and do shading across the entire thing. Oh, you always forget to comment. That's cool. You don't have to comment. But yeah, I'm jettisoning some other responsibilities also soon. Next year I'm stepping down from the dog club board. I'd step down now if I could, but I think it would pretty much, may as well just serve out the term as best I can. And considering dropping another thing on that too. There we go, so we're getting there. Yep. Yeah, burnout is real. It's a whole separate kind of thing. But yeah, it's very different. It's a very different pressure when you have to produce, like when whether you get paid is directly riding on whether you finish X or Y project. And as I mentioned, it's like that's why people started Patreon, is because they knew that the freelancing lifestyle was high stress because of that, and so they wanted something that would be a reliable way for creators to collect payments and have a monthly income. So that helped me. Like, if I had to do this the old-fashioned way, if I didn't have the Patreon, I don't know if I'd be able to be a freelancer on this. But that stable monthly income is like a life changer. Because I can live on a tight budget as long as I have a more or less stable income. It does vary a little bit month by month, but... But yeah, it is a different type of pressure, and a lot of people, you're right, aren't wired to do well under that, right? I mean, you could still do it, Dogfather. It's just, it would take a commitment. This is the thing, is like, I'm very much a person who believes that I'm not gonna, like, as I get older, I'm like not throwing in the towel. Like, I know too many people in their 70s and 80s who are still like doing awesome crap. But it does take a commitment, right? Like, at this point, if you really wanted to do that, you still could, but it would require a lot of sacrifice, and maybe it would require more than you can give. So it's reasonable. I mean, and this is something that people don't often say because it's unpopular, but it is reasonable to give up on a dream if like it doesn't suit you anymore, or you would have to sacrifice too much, right? As we get older, other things get value in our lives, right? And so I am all for people chasing like their lifelong dream, no matter how old they are, because I feel like it's mindset. It's not anything else. But of course, there are some limiting physical things that can happen that would make an impact. So sometimes it isn't possible. But if you're in fairly good health, I think it's always possible to make a start at it. But it may not be the right road for you anymore, right? Thanks, Calabloom, yeah. Brush control is kind of like, it's why freehand and brush control and like color theory are my superpowers when it comes to miniature painting. There are so many people who are much better at light than me, like my husband. Yeah, when it comes down to micro details, textures, freehand, and stuff like that, I do love my fine motor. Well, yeah, some of you just do it to have a fun and creative hobby. Like, that's totally cool. Like, that's what it's for, right? I mean, like I said, it goes back to that thing where when you get in the zone, when you really, no matter whether you're a good mini painter or a midland mini painter or just a starting out mini painter, when you get in the zone of painting and time kind of goes away, you're doing something that's really valuable for your psyche. Like, it just gives you more of a sense of fulfillment. Like, and the science backs this. So it's like, I always wanted somebody to do a scientific study on this, and they did a bunch of science around it, but it turns out that they did it just around the mind state that we get into when we zone out and just paint. Flow state, yeah. Right, and so, and there's some psychological evidence now that the flow state, like going into the zone, has actual like happiness implications. Like actually makes you a happier person just because it's so rewarding, right? And we're back to being rewarding. Why do you mini paint, right? It's all a circle. Well, this is a bigger mini. This is a bigger mini. But I have painted some crazy freehand on little ones. I don't remember. I don't think I've got some of the craziest ones. They went to Reaper. I think the last... Like I did some little runes on this one. So this sorceress that we did has some pretty sharp little tiny stuff on it. So I can do that, and then we've got, actually I've got Noel. Noel's good just because he's like, texture work on a very small scale. So the belts and the scratched the metal and all that is just like, you could do it on a much bigger miniature, but you also can do it on a tiny miniature. Yes, yesterday's mini. Yeah, everybody except for these big Scions is 28. Yep, you're right. But I like the big minis too, Caliburn. That's why my my Patreon is painting big, because I really enjoy the bigger stuff and how much you can do on them, right? Yeah, exactly. It's relaxing, and it also makes you feel like you accomplished something, right? And that is something that's lacking a lot in the modern world. Because our jobs often don't give us that. Our jobs are often like flitting from one shallow thing to the next. My job with Reaper was an exception. Like creating paint colors actually took concentration and tuning. And that could be pretty absorbing when I was working on a color that I really was enjoying, or that was being a little bit difficult to hit. All right, so let's do a glaze over this now to make it, bring in some shadows, make it richer. Yeah, we don't have our printer's not up and running yet. My husband has not taken the plunge yet. I wonder if he will over the holidays, because he'll have a lot more time off. Hold on, I missed a big paragraph. Missed him, oh yeah. Right. Part-time in social media brings people willing to pay. Right, yep. Yeah, commission, social media is good for getting commission people. Right, yeah, well and that's part of it too, is it's challenging, right? The really rewarding work is challenging. It's something that you can get, but not undoable, right? You got to feel like you can actually do it. And I'm gonna get some russet brown. Where's my russet brown? Russet brown, where are you? You're hiding russet brown. There it is. So I'm gonna mix up some straight tarnished copper, which is this very orangey brown. Well, it's the same thing, Dogfather. Because if you paint for pleasure, you're probably painting, something that you enjoy looking at. So you're probably painting well, if you're like me. These days it's the same thing for me. If I paint for pleasure, I enjoy doing a good job. So I'm painting a high-end miniature because I like to, not because I'm going to enter it in a competition. This lady is she's totally just for me, right? So any cool I do on her, we're starting to do freehand on the back here, but any cool I do on her is going to be just because I want to paint her and enjoy how she looks. Same thing with the halfling assassin that I painted. And that ended up winning Best in Show. Just because it's not painted for competition doesn't mean it may not be entered in one. But yeah, it's like, and it is a pressure thing. Sometimes you enjoy the pressure and sometimes you don't. I mean, what you could do, Dogfather, is just make the deadline, you know, like use the deadline, but use it just to accomplish things, and then and tell yourself, you know, I don't need to enter, but I'm going to aim to get done here. If you find that deadlines are actually, you know, a nice motivator for you and not a high pressure one. Right. So that's what I'm saying. You should just like give yourself the deadline anyway, even if you don't enter. Like just arbitrarily do it, kind of like we do for National Novel Writing Month. Or you could try the Reaper Challenge League, because that is a deadline, but it's not a serious deadline. Caliblum, you're funny. All right, so I'm going to thin these about 2 to 1, because I want them to be kind of glazy, kind of like a glaze. And because the backdrop is so very dark, it won't really matter if I put like glazes of these darker colors over the top of it. That is a Limbo Miniatures. From their, gosh, I don't remember the name of the Kickstarter, but she's been out of stock, I think, for a while, but. All right, so I'm going to do the tarnished copper first, and I'm going to concentrate on parts that would be in shadow. I want to darken them down so that this doesn't look so flat. So see, I've thinned it down to where it's kind of a heavy glaze or a light wash. But I wouldn't use it as a wash because I didn't put any medium in it. So more of a glaze. And I'm just going to paint it right over the top in the shadows. But yeah, finding motivation and figuring out how to motivate yourself, that's one of the great games of life. Like that is really like, that's really deep personality work, really, because you're figuring out what will motivate you to finish a thing. Like what makes you tick, right? I always find that interesting. The Limbo out of stock division, yep. Yeah, I did the Kickstarter because I wanted it. Yeah, the peer pressure. Right. RCL can be a good motivator. Slayer Sword is really dicey because it's GW's political statement as well as a miniature painting contest. I think really the point actually, like, I almost believe that you should never set out to win a Slayer Sword. I think that instead you should set out to win a gold demon. And first you should just set out to win a demon, period, because it's tough. Then once you've won a demon, like me, I've got 2 silvers. From back in the day. And I certainly am better now than I was then. So now if I go back to demons, it'll be, you know, I want to win a gold. I'm going to try, right? It's a little bit, I say politics, but it's not as bad as it used to be. It's just like Games Workshop's idea of what they want to reward. And that's fair, guys. Like almost every miniatures painting competition has that. Even Reaper has that. Like Reaper is definitely rewarding certain things. That's why we give you criteria, right? So every painting competition it makes a goal for itself. Otherwise it's unjudgeable. Yes, high level competition. You've got to have criteria. Otherwise, how do you judge? I'm going to make a little shadow up here. All right, so you've got some shadows going on there. We can now see the shape of the shirt, right? Oh, nice, screen users. Cool, Julie. But yeah, so Games Workshops is just interesting because over time it's evolved. And I find it interesting. Other people find it frustrating. But I'm not one to look at who Games Workshop rewards and complain about it. I'm one to look at what Games Workshop rewards and goes, okay, so what do I have to do then, right? If I want to be there. I don't feel there's any value in grousing or critiquing a company's chosen, like, attitude in awarding, right? I just take that as more idea. Well, Bill, they've always kind of done that, but in the olden days, they actually had like judges. Like for instance, when I won my first Golden Demon, it was judged by the Perry twins, who of course were on staff, very famous on staff sculptors for Games Workshop. So I was super over the moon that they thought my model was awesome. Because my first Golden Demon winner was definitely a callback to the old school art, John Blanche. And so they, having been at Games Workshop since the beginning, they totally recognized it. And so maybe I got lucky, or maybe I did do some killer freehand, if I do say so myself. So, but yeah, so now, though, the GW is not going to, like, send their artists all over the world these days, apparently. So yeah, so you're going to get people who love, you're still going to get people who love the hobby and who know a good paint job when they see one. But, you know, but this is true. Like any competition, this argument against Games Workshop, any competition, it's the individuals, right? They have criteria, but it still comes down to the individuals, you know? Yeah, exactly. Agent Marvel's got it. Because it's the individual interpreting those rules. And when you get to the highest level, if you were at Golden Demon last year and you saw the top tier of talent, it was hard to choose winners. Super duper hard. So then it's going to come down to the individual. Like you could roll a dice, really, and you would have hit a great many. I think everything that won were great minis. So were there a lot of other great minis that could also deserve to win? Absolutely, but that's the problem with a first, second, third competition. That's why they started doing the pins. The pins and the little certificates is because they recognized that a first, second, third was just not very motivating. And so now at least you can aim to get a pin. I would like a pin. I never got a pin. Right, Big Jimbo. I got lucky. I didn't do it that way because I was trying to game the system. I did that way because I loved John Blanche's original artwork for Alpha Legion. And so I painted my guy like that. And I was just maybe lucky in that my judges, of course, would totally recognize that I did that, right? Whereas another judge might have looked at it and said, this is really cool, and not recognize that it also was, based in the old fluff. These days, I don't think that would fly because these days GW has retconned a lot of their old fluff kind of out of existence as they go back and put out models for Horus Heresy and stuff like that, but... Right, yeah. You know what? Because they're traditional. They're traditional Games Workshop. So if you walk in there with a Spanish or Italian or French style model, they're not going to like it. It's just the way it is. Yeah, I can totally see that. I still would think it would be cool to be judged by them. It's like they've been around in the industry for so long, they've done everything. But yeah, do they probably feel nostalgic for a certain style in the old days of Games Workshop? I bet they do. And do they judge accordingly? Probably. Not that the things they chose wouldn't still be awesome, but it won't be awesome in the way a lot of the competitors were counting on being top, right? And that's where I think it comes down to, you know what? Don't try to game the system. Just paint what you want to paint to the best of your ability using your style. And then no matter what, you still have the model. You're still happy. You can sell the model. You can put it up on social media and get tons of people telling you how screwed you got not getting a trophy, right? You've still got that. You've always got the work. You've always got the work. Yep, yeah. Baseline expectations, and then some judges like to prioritize, right? I'm going to put some russet brown now down in the way down shadows. This is a higher coverage color, so I actually need to thin it a little more, I can tell. Coming on a little heavy down there. But yeah, I mean, at this point in my painting thing, I am painting purely for me, a competition model. I'm painting it until to the best of my ability because that's what I enjoy doing. And I'm painting it the way I want to my style because that's what I enjoy doing. And then if I put it in a competition and it wins, fantastic. I don't take that as validation that my painting style is better than everybody else's. I just am happy that at that point it resonated, my work resonated with the judges, right? Oh, yep, yep, yeah, and that's what you're asking for on social media. I hate to say this, but it's true. You're asking for the trolls, like hanging yourself out like that. Yeah. Now, if you can just like shrug and smile and move on from that, as a lot of people can, awesome. Because you're still putting your work up on social media so that people can see it, and that's appreciated. But you have to look past the trolls. And I don't think Kaha should have won, for the record, by the way. Great model, but it wasn't any better than a lot of the other ones in there. Like, it's just, Golden Demon it's like Crystal Brush. It's a very high-end competition that attracts worldwide talent. So, I mean, just getting something ready for entry that you feel might be competitive, for me, is rewarding on its own. It's got to be. Otherwise, why would you put the work in? And that skink, by the way, was technically perfect. It's a perfect model. There was not a single flaw on it. And yeah, is that the advantage of painting a small model? Yup. If you can do the blends and the execution. Yeah, yeah. Chris Clayton just goes to his display case, kind of goes, "Oh, what do I feel today?" You know, yeah. And that's great because then he's just painting for him, right? He's painting for him, and then he comes to demons, and he's like, I guess I'll take this one this year. Whatever, you know, as long as. Oh yeah, yeah. The YouTube musicians who've made funny songs out of troll comments. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, the skink was amazing. Like, I mean, I am a total technical painter. Like, I love the technical side. I love perfect blends. I love, just the perfect touch of highlight. I like the precision. I love all of that. So that skink really, like, and it's hard to get seamless blends on every surface of a miniature. That skink was not easy to paint. Like, it was good. It was good. Like, right. Yeah, and that's it too. I took my own pictures. I took a bunch of my own pictures, Missed Him, for precisely that reason. Well, and if you think about it, this is the thing. It's not that the photographers suck. It is the nature of the beast. They've got a little photo booth in the middle of the competition at a convention where they have to bring in lighting. And it's like, to fine tune that, do you know how many hours Jennifer Haley spent fine tuning the photography for Crystal Brush at the con? Pretty much a whole day before the competition, actually before anything needed to get photographed, she was setting up that booth and taking test photos. The minute things started to come in, before she took any real photos, she was doing test photos, going to the computer, going back, adjusting something, doing another photo. Like, I watched her do this. It takes a very specific type of person to have that much investment in high quality work. And most people aren't going to do it. And it's not their fault. It's just not the way they're wired. Adepticon in Chicago, Dogfather. Oh yeah, Grittico, and you told them, yeah, several $1,000s. Like, how many squadrons says 20 skinks? It'd be at least like $6,000, maybe $6,000, maybe more if it takes you a long time. I can blend pretty fast. All things said. I don't know, Bill. I don't know what the criteria were for people they were sending to Golden Demon. Like, GW has its own criteria. They were nice. They were nice people. They asked good questions about the entries. Like, they really appreciated the great paint jobs. They, it was I don't know. They seemed I didn't have an in-depth style discussion with any of them because I wasn't entering. They were very much into GW though. And this is the thing, right? This is the thing. When I worked for Games Workshop headquarters, when they were out in Glen Burnie in Maryland, I worked for them for about 6 months. The mindset in there was GW was it. There were no other miniatures companies or paint products, right? And so they're very, very GW focused, and styles that weren't GW or products that, you know, that wasn't going to fly. That wasn't going to fly. A skink that won a Slayer Sword winner. It was a tiny little skink on a simple base. A skink is a lizard man. Just a little guy, Pendrake. And Kaha is a very famous painter from... Is she Russian? I don't remember. She's really good, though. Really, really, really good. Very stylistic, very stylized paint style for Kaha. I really like it. All right, let us see what we got. We got some highlights. So we've shaded what we've got here to bring out details. Polish? Oh, right. Painter. Polish. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't find any pleasure in critiquing after the fact. I'm just like, all right, that was a thing, and I got to see some awesome stuff. And, you know, thank you, Games Workshop, for even bringing the competition back. How about that? I'm not going to complain about Games Workshop when it took them a decade to bring Golden Demon back to the States, but they finally did it. I'm not going to then turn on Games Workshop and say, you really stunk this up. Like, obviously that sends a message of, and don't ever come back. But I want them to come back, so I'm not going to stink it up. So, you know, that's kind of my attitude also. I would much rather have the competition and be able to see all the amazing paint jobs. And, you know, if it's kind of a lottery who wins, that's true of many competitions. I'm going to put a little lantern yellow in here for the copper. Just warm it up just a tiny bit. Could use, I might use candlelight instead, actually. I think I used candlelight last time. The iPad of miniatures. They're worth a lot of money now. Like, they used to be, before all the video game properties and all that, they were at least like other miniatures companies could maybe eventually shoot to be them, but now they're in the billions. Their profit, it's way beyond any other miniatures company out there. I really like a lot of their minis. Agent Marvel. I mean, toy-like as they are, because of the styrene and the way the molding goes with that, they're very cleverly put together these days, and some really cool characters. I have gotten lately, David and I both have gotten back into painting a bit more GW lately, because there's just some really cool figures. I mean, like this lady who I started painting from my set. She's like a paladin, got a griffin pelt over her shoulder, and she's got a two-handed sword. But she's a really, really cool figure. So they do some good work. I'm not like keen to get back into the game because that's very much a money sink. Yeah, Kaha's work is really stunning, Pendrake. No, it was I think it was a champion. He had his shield. Tyranids are fun. I tried hard not to. Yeah, Space Marines are where I think a lot of people kind of go, especially I hate to say this, but a lot of women are just like, Space Marines. Like, the only Space Marine chapters I like are the ones that are kind of fantasy, so Space Wolves and Salamanders. Oh, except I have to lie, I do like the new Sisters of Battle a lot. I may have ordered some. Oops. When I ordered David's Christmas present. Yeah, Tyranids were my first real army in 40K, back when I lived in Madison and still had friends who played. But yeah, there's some, and the fantasy models are just beautiful. Like the Age of Sigmar stuff, that's just downright, there are a lot of gorgeous models in there. But yeah. So yeah, you know, I mean, I'd like to enter again. I'd like to take a shot at it with my current skill level, since, you know, I was barely, I'm going to try to like hit some light up here, guys, and see what happens. I was only barely a painter back when I last tried. And now I'm much better than I was then. So I'm going to do a little bit of highlights, kind of in line with where the light would be. But yeah, there are a lot of painting competitions for all sorts of different companies, so if you don't like one company or another, you can always go rampaging off to paint something else. Unfortunately, now that there's no crystal brush, there's no real good, like, all manufacturers contest except for ReaperCon. And even ReaperCon, like, doesn't draw, like, because the prizes, it's not the prize money of the crystal brush, it doesn't draw Europeans like the old crystal brush did. It was also Adepticon because the Europeans can come over and teach a lot, and they can actually offset their costs of traveling. So that was one of the reasons that Adepticon was a good setting for that. But like Monte Sansevino, where Eric Swinson just won Best in Show, he's taught at ReaperCon. Like, that's a great show that we'd love to go to. That's funny, Mistim. Yeah, I mean, you should enter sometime. I mean, then talk. I mean, the great thing about Golden Demons, the thing that I always liked, and the thing that I saw a bit of when I went back, is the camaraderie. Like, you know, meeting other people who you admire from, like, you know, YouTube and Twitch and the mini painting scene in general, and getting to talk to people about their work and yours. It's good. All right, so we've got some light up there. Now we're going to bring a little bit of light in around here, where the muscles are bulging out here. Yeah, he was streaming. Actually, he streamed yesterday, and I missed it, and I meant to get on and congratulate him on his win. But he streams irregularly, but he does stream on Twitch. Eric's cool. Go hang out. He's been a friend of David's for a long time. I only met him when he came to ReaperCon. He actually is the one who gave me my Grandmaster, my Privateer Grandmaster, this summer. Or last spring, not summer. Because he was judging, he was helping to judge the Privateer competition. Yep, have fun, Crowley. So there's just a little bit more light, and I need to bring it up consistently toward the top here. There. Thanks. Yeah, this chair was definitely the reason, was definitely a good call. My hip is feeling better than it was definitely on the other chair. Just too much sitting lately. I'm going to use my standing desk today. There we go. We can still see the shadows in those areas. Yeah, Eric's good people, Godfather. That's cool that he helped you out. Yeah, Valthorn. And that you can only learn so much when you're doing the rush thing, right? I mean, you can still work on things like brush control and purely mechanical stuff, but that whole like kind of immersing yourself and really getting in there and enjoying the process, like you miss out on that. And yeah, I know that feeling because like I have so many miniatures and lately I've been feeling kind of the little pressure to move a little faster and I just don't enjoy it as much. So I want to get some stuff done so I can paint my new stuff. And I think David probably got me miniatures for Christmas, at least a little bit, so I'm doing a little bit of highlighting down here on the copper dudes. If I want an under reflection kind of feel where a light is coming up from underneath, I do need to hit that along this bottom edge too. Let's try it and see how it looks. I'm not convinced it'll look great, but if it looks good, I'm going to do it. I mean, slowing down sometimes for me is I just put on music, and you could do the same thing with a podcast or an audiobook or whatever you're used to kind of vegging out to. And doing that, but music I find is better because I can kind of have it on background. And then my brain will just kind of relax and listen to that, and then it'll help me kind of slow down. Nice big chimpo. Yeah, I have boxes. I have boxes that are organized by how excited I am about them. So it'll be like, heck yeah, I really love all these, followed by, I like these, but not right now, followed by, maybe someday, followed by, I'm probably going to liquidate these, I just haven't decided when. And I have a specialty box like for big dragons. Yeah, I can't do TV because I'm not desensitized to television. Like I really don't. I've never watched a lot of TV. I've been very selective always in the TV shows I watch. So TV is totally, visual media are totally distracting to me. I can't do it. But music or sometimes an audiobook I can do. Music is best though. So I just want to get this kind of blacked in and take an honest look at it. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, but you know, we all do this hobby for different reasons. We all love it for different reasons. And I mean, really, just when it comes down to it, focus on what makes you happy about it. Figure out what part of it makes you happy. I mean, for some people, they just love building models and they really never get to paint them. But for them, it's happy. They love building. I can't really judge them because you know what? If it's what makes them happy, then do it. Maybe then sell them. Sell them so you can build more. But yeah, that's my problem, Valthorn, is that I love to paint to the top of my ability, but that's really slow. And then I get frustrated because I'm not finishing anything, you know, quickly. It's kind of why I'd thrown a 28 into my rotation. Right now I've got two 75s that I'm working on, my Anubis and my Priestess Lady, and then one 28mm GW. And that way, at least the 28mm one, I can see like big progress on. I think after I'm done with these two 75s, though, I'll I'll throw a bust in there. Alrighty. That's coming off as mildly shiny then. If I come back in with some white, that's going to make it a lot better. And I also need to make my shadows darker if I'm really going to make this very shiny. All those scales, I mean. But I wanted to do these little guys first, these little detailed guys. We're starting to get those guys kind of figured out. Yeah. Well, that's how David and I met, so. It's really nice to share the hobby like this. It is really cool to have a husband who paints, you know, as well or better than I do in many cases. And who is into, like, you know, painting to a high level and going to competitions and stuff like that, which I also enjoy. And who also teaches, and, you know. The only thing he doesn't do is make it his real job, and he has no interest in doing that because he enjoys his real job. Plus, we wouldn't be able to afford this house if he did. So expensive out here. All right. So just getting a little bit of details in there, so it all looks. Oh, it looks so fun! Look how pretty it looks now, guys. It looks so pretty. Very intricate. Alrighty. Yeah, that's looking very pretty. I like this. Yeah. Yeah, doing I mean, it's just so much better with the fishy scales. I think it's very pretty, very intricate. All right, well, obviously I need to do more fishy scales up here, but we can put that off. And it's time to wrap up. Oh, funny, Dogfather. Yeah, everybody's different. Yeah, thanks, guys. Tomorrow we are going to be, let me get this up here. Oh, guess what tomorrow is? Christmas bells are meow. We're back to Kitty. Kitty in the tree tomorrow. Be here or be square. As the cat dragon engages in catly things. Yes, it's Kitty Day tomorrow. Yes, indeedy. Yep. Indeed, I'm very much in a Christmas mood. I hope the rest of my presents arrive. I'm just crossing my fingers that the mail gets me stuff in time to mail it out to my family at this point. Indeedy. Yeah, it was a good one. It was a good one. Thanks for hanging out and talking, chatting, Dogfather, and everybody else who chimed in on all of the stuff. This was a fun one. This was a fun stream. Indeedy. Yeah, so have a good day, guys. Tomorrow is it Friday already? Yay, Friday! All right. Have a great one, folks, and I will see you again tomorrow morning.